Hey everyone, Happy New Year. I wanted to start off the year by talking about game art and why I think it's important for indie games. There are so many games coming out every day, and I think it's really important to stand out from the crowd with your own art style. And while gameplay does come first, your first impression is through the trailer or screenshots of the game. And I've gotten a lot of questions asking me about how I actually go about making the art in my game. And because I'm in the middle of production with my game, I can't really take time to make tutorial videos. So what I ended up doing is compiling a bunch of different artists as well as different tutorials that they've done throughout the years that have inspired me, and hopefully it'll inspire you as well. Starting off with Trent Kaniuga, he's a concept artist that worked on World of Warcraft, Diablo 3, League of Legends. Even though his tutorials are more geared towards concept artists, I found a lot of value in his tutorials on painting landscapes. It helped me quite a bit on figuring out good composition for my backgrounds in my game, as well as pretty good techniques for rendering different kinds of materials. He's got a bunch of tutorials on Gumroad as well as YouTube, and he's a really inspiring dude, so definitely check him out. Next on my list is Tyson Murphy. He was really inspiring to me back in the day with modeling and texturing a sword and shield in a World of Warcraft style. Even though his tutorial on 3D Motive is a little bit dated, it still uses a lot of the same techniques that I would use today. What was cool is that the sword and shield are made of different kinds of materials that you had to learn to paint. Next, I would check out Fanny Vergne. She has a lot of really great breakdowns of her work on World of Warcraft Mists of Pandaria. She also has a pretty great tutorial on using Zbrush for stylized textures, which is mainly the technique that I use for my textures as well. Next, check out Jordan Powers. He's a lead prop artist on World of Warcraft, and while I don't believe he has any tutorials, his work is really inspiring, so definitely check him out on Artstation. Next, check out Michael Vincente, also known as Orb. He's a really great artist, and I would recommend downloading his brush set for ZBrush as well as Blender. The brushes really help with getting that specific stylized look, especially the Orb crack brush. I'm pretty sure everyone who's trying to get that World of Warcraft-like style uses these kinds of brushes, so give that a try. And check out some of his breakdowns of his artwork on Heroes of the Storm as well. Next on my list is Phillip Zhang. He's a senior environment artist at Riot Games. The work he did for World of Warcraft on the skyboxes are very impressive, and I would recommend checking those out, as well as the tutorial section where he does breakdowns of some of his personal pieces that he's done. Another artist whose work I really like is Maarten Verhoeven. He has so many very unique creature designs in his portfolio, and he has a few tutorials on the Gnomon Workshop that I would recommend, especially the sculpting a dragon with ZBrush. It's a little bit more on the advanced side, but if you want to get a kind of beginner course on ZBrush and sculpting, check out Madeleine Scott-Spencer on the Gnomon Workshop, as well as Michael Pavlovich on YouTube. I followed both artists from the very beginning with Madeleine Scott-Spencer's books on anatomy, sculpting, and Michael Pavlovich ever since he was on Eat 3D, which I'm pretty sure does not exist anymore. It was from a time back before streaming was a thing and you would get a DVD in the mail containing a tutorial. And that was too long ago. I'm old. Moving on, Raf Grassetti is a really inspiring artist as well. He has a great tutorial on anatomy on Gumroad. And I mean, just look at this. Look at all this amazing work that he's done over the years. It's crazy. Stop being so good at this. Next, I would recommend Tor Frick if you're looking to see some cool hard surface stuff. And he also has a few tutorials on his Gumroad. And lastly, probably the greatest of all time hard surface guys is Vitaly Bulgarov. He also has a few tutorials on the Gnomon Workshop, but man, the way his mind works when he's designing is kind of something to behold. There aren't many people that go from working on Blizzard cinematics to working in film, then working on a real mech. It's insane, it's inspiring, check him out if you haven't already heard of him. Okay, I'm done gushing about my favorite artists in the industry. Maybe just one more. Check out Yosuke Ishikawa. The amount of different styles and flexibility that this guy can pull off is pretty insane. From the Evil Within 2 to all his personal work, and then Hi-Fi Rush having such a different art style is pretty cool. I would recommend just tumbling around some of his models in the Marmoset viewer on Artstation. If you want to learn a more realistic style, there are many tutorials on the Gnomon Workshop. For more of a stylized look, check out Stylized Station on YouTube, as well as as Zug Zug Art. They both have really great tutorials on hand-painted textures. And if you're just starting out as an artist, definitely start posting your work in different forums like Polycount, ZBrush Central, CG Society, or an Artstation, so you can get critiques and get better at it. There's so many great resources these days than even 10 years ago, and it's a lot more accessible than when I started out. Even though some of these tutorials might be overkill for what you need for your indie game, but you never know what you might need in the future, and it could set your indie game apart, especially if so many other games are using pre-made assets from an asset library. Art takes a lot of commitment and time and practice, just like anything else. You're not just going to magically get better without any practice. It's just like playing a guitar or weightlifting. If you're not going to practice, you're not going to get better, and you get what you put in. I'm going to provide some links to all the stuff that I talked about, as well as a few other resources that I found pretty interesting that might be helpful if you're trying to learn. Anyway, I'm going to get back to work, and I think I'm going to be coming out with some devlogs at the end of every month this year, or I'm going to try to. That's the goal. There's a lot of work to do this year, and I'm looking forward to sharing some of it as I get ready for shipping my indie game Ghost Knight: A Dark Tale, hopefully next year. I sound very confident in that statement, as you can hear. Anyway, hope everyone had a good New Year's, and always remember to look both ways before...